Hello people, this is IdkBuild's, and I've made a few doors recently, and so I'd like to show them off and give people a little bit of an understanding of how they work. So first example is a 21 by 21 order of entities door, meaning that it restacks as it was prior, and so you'll see it just compresses over here, bubble columns, TNT goes over, and it hammers it down. So, how does it work? Well, here we have sticky pistons that when this pulls back, both of these pretty much instantly retract. And because this block is closest to the piston, and that's where this is being wired from, the locationality of the redstone will go in this order. So we've now ordered it, and that will continue on to these different rows, which drop these pistons, meaning that the sand renders from here all the way down to that side, and then stacks on the next row up, which conveniently is how our sand stacks from up there. Now, next thing it does is we come down into this sand comp, where it just basically sits here in limbo while this sits side to side, and it keeps the entities from breaking while all of the sand falls down. But the next cool part is we see this will quick pulse in a zero-tick motion, which will align, which will align it to close enough to the slime that the block will pick up on it even if it's to the side of the entity. So it now pushes over here, bounces up, and we catch it right here in the bubble column with this. By aligning it into here in this corner, it can touch the bubble column and go up without any concrete turning into solid blocks. The bubble column is completely pointless, I just thought it would be funny, so yeah. We will go down here. Alright, you might have missed it, but as you saw, it did a quick pulse, and now the sand isn't moved over to this block, but, oh my gosh, it can continue downward, where this slime is capable of pushing it. As you can see, it all starts moving in that direction, and we bounce it up with this slime down here, and basically we end up compressed over here. It presses it into the bubble column, that's when it starts traveling up, comes over here, and the TNT meets the sand. Sand, because of how it's aligned right here, it's in this little corner, so it's actually touchable by this slime block. It shoots into here underneath this, and then the TNT clips it, falls down, and now we have Y and X velocity. Why does Y and X velocity matter on this cannon? Because of the ratio of TNT that you need for the cannon to work. So, for example, we can use this command on the server, and once we get really close to the top, we will be able to see exactly where the sand entity was at each tick in time. And so this is just an infinite booster, so it TNT duper compresses right here, shoots it over here. It could have been done with slimes. I just, being a factions player, wanted to see the infinite booster in TNT dupe format, so that would be cool. So as you can see, it worked, and now we can click on this and see that the tick before it stacked, we see its X velocity is negative 21 and its Y velocity is negative 30. So that tells me that if I had gotten the X to Y ratio a little bit cleaner, we could have maybe cut off a couple of TNT, but because I am lazy, we have stacked it because it has to travel roughly 22 blocks down and 21 blocks to the side. So as long as we have like 20.5 or negative 20.5 and negative 21.5 Y, then that's enough for it to stack, because it needs to reach this block and then come and decide to stack on top of this within the same tick. Otherwise, it'll just land here in one block and the rest of the entities will break. So, This is one of the most modern doors I have, and here's a lot older version. This one's just something funny you can do. It's an OOE comp, meaning that all this pulls out and so it all starts falling at the same time, but because of that it doesn't retain its ratio, therefore it has a very splattered pattern. All the wiring and boosters is a little bit worse on this. I didn't quite understand the slime float alignment yet, but other than that, I mean, it works, and that's all that matters. This is just not quite great. And this is another version of that door. This is the first time I got restacking correct to work correctly, but instead of rendering it in one tick, like I did with the locationality, you can render it in many different ticks. And while this may be slightly satisfying to watch, boy is it slow. Oh man. It does hurt me inside that I did this. But it'll shoot up, and it's cool, I guess. We don't need to look at that one anymore. Next door, this is one that I hope could actually be built and used in survival mode. I was working on door compression to a decent size, and this is what I came up with. So if we come over here, you can see it compresses it all into this block, and it repeats that big float alignment that we had over there with the same thing, except it's only one block, and then the slime pushes it, triggers the tripwire, we fall down and it hits up here, and it keeps getting hit up, and there's just, because of how the entities were when they were first launched, there's a Y difference, and so the sand falls below the TNT, and therefore it stacks, just like we had the last cannon. So, we can do clock block 136.20, and in about 6 point something seconds, the door will go off, and it actually autos decently quickly if you ever wanted it to. Why would you want to auto a door? I don't know, but you can. So, yeah. Now, another way that some people have told me that might make my doors faster, but I found that it messes up the OOE, but I might as well just mention it while we're here. I'm enjoying that door. Is the sand, you can press it down with pistons from the top, or you could block update from the side, although that triggers it in a diagonal pattern for it to update. But you can basically insta-fall the sand, and so it all falls at the same time. Save, it just breaks the order of entities, because that registers from down here. You could try doing it from up here, but I haven't yet tried that, so leave that to someone else. I hope this door concept catches on. It would be really fun for that to happen, since I've enjoyed making a lot of these. So, next up, there's the 21X, and here is the 45X. And really there's no difference between 21 and 45. A lot of things stayed the same. The TNT compression I changed from the booster setup to the slime setup, and you'll see that in a second. Down here, just TNT tubes, comes down here, gets aligned to this one block, comes down, float aligns, and then the slime pushes it right here into here, where we have an specifically aligned booster to hit it up all the way to the top. Triggers its own slime block, and it gets yeeted all the way over here, where it again lands on above the sand and gets the X and Y velocity required. Sand works relatively the same. The only difference, which is a little bit nifty, is the sand was having a big issue where it would come up and, oh boy, it was not aligned to the right side, and when that happens, your sand will hit this wall and slide to the side and stack, and not stack very much. Most of it will break. But fixing the alignment was nice, and now everything works, and I'm actually pretty proud because it comes out and it doesn't get in the way of everything. We will look at it. Also, a cool thing is once you're in the bubble column, you do need to realign it to the side, and before I was using the piston alone, but now we have the trapdoor because I needed to press all the way to the side because that's what side this TNT is on, and so intra-block alignments matter a lot because it adds in a Z velocity which will make your cannon break. Not cannon, door, sorry. But yeah, so what's cool about this is that it lines up this, and because it's into this block, it gets caught on a trap door, which is a full block. I just thought that's kind of cool because it's hitting that little bit of precision. Just a nifty little goes in here, and it stacks. So over here, the only difference is where this one has pistons below this. This one, it's been changed, so now there's just a full piston here with carpets over it and stone under it. It's just a style preference, so if you want some carpets here instead, it could be done. Other than that, this is the exact same cannon. And that's a bunch of doors. One thing that's funny is this kind of looks like a printer, so the only change I've done here is the auto clock is now no longer capable of sustaining the signal because the observers are gone, and the observers would double tick, which would keep this signal alive. So now it drops 15 blocks at a time, and after 3 shots we will come back and it'll be a printer, sort of. Kind of looks like it. So after 3 shots it will be back at the original image, but you know, it goes 1/3 at a time, and it's pretty nifty to look at. It's kind of cool. So after 2 more shots, looks like, whoopsie. Yeah, so after 2 more shots we will have returned the doors. Normally, I just thought it looks cool. There's no purpose in this design. Maybe in single player you could change this to reduce lag, because you could still run through with those intervals. And yeah, you can use the door just the same, just time yourself a little bit better. And then, it's just funny how you can print 1/3 at a time. Be a big waste of TNT though, but still not the same ratio, or unless you get a lot better X velocity. So yeah, that's all the doors I've made so far, except for that one. This door is just a prototype where you could go to the nether and hopefully stack on the other side. Nah, I'm just messing with you, bro. This door actually works in single player. Now, the caveat to this is that you would need to specifically load both sides, because in single player, your game does not tick overworld and nether at the same times. But, so these chunk loaders don't really do anything, and I have a ender pearl down there. But, still, it alternates. It looks cool. Go over here, wait for this to fall down, and now we can go in here. It'll come through. Stacks on this side. Come into here. Go back down, press the button on the overworld side. Go back through. Wait for this sand to fall down. Come back up. And sand comes down. And I have officially created the first interdimensional door in Minecraft, as far as I know. This took me like the last 3 days to build, but I'm really happy with it. So yeah, that's, I guess, the epitome of this video. The way this one works is similar to the other doors, except using nether portal tech. So first off, we send one piece of duped TNT through here. It triggers our tripwire, and then that activates this side, so the TNT will proc, and if needed, the sand comp will proc on the alternating shot. And so the TNT will fall down, and then sand, normally it wouldn't connect to that portal, but we use a tick on and off, so flint and steel lights the portal, and then it lava buckets breaks the portal, but in that time we push it in, it comes up here. Because of the slime block, it shoots out with velocity, and it lands here, falls down, gets aligned by those pistons. That's a little bit redundant, but it helps prevent errors. And yeah, stacks. OOE works between realms, which is funny. Although there's a end of the entity data, I think, gets edited a little bit, and I'm not quite sure exactly how, but it's a pretty niche effect that happens when entities travel through nether portals. Oh yeah. And yeah, so that's it. It just triggers it from that side with a TNT entity. Sand falls down. We can watch it a little bit in slow motion. Tick step 1. There we go. So gets aligned to the side, so I guess that one's necessary. This one's pretty redundant. Okay. After 3 ticks, we will get here, and it will blow up and stack. And that should probably wrap up my video. I'll fire it just to return it to the overworld. Alright. And once that's all entity form, those TNT's there, we can come back here, watch them both, and it stacks again. So, would this work in vanilla single player? Kind of. You would need to set delay so that set a portal up over here, set delay, so when you shoot, you get these entities to render before you go over and have chunk loaders. I'm not quite sure how long it will stay rendered for, but as long as it's rendered prior to me leaving, going to the other world, the cannon has worked for me, so that's cool. So you could theoretically go through this portal and go to the other side and wait for it to work. Then on the return shot, it'd be a little sketchier. You need to go to the nether, return from the nether, because you need to load on that side, and then come back and load on this side. So it's not really functional on single player, but what it can do is work on multiplayer servers. So if you're on a multiplayer server with friends that has some sort of hosting mechanism where Overworld and Nether are on at the same time, so either you just actually have players in both realms, or the server hosts both, or lets both realms tick simultaneously, because players are allowed to be in both realms, or whatever. Some multiplayer servers have that, or most of them actually. Then this door should work fine, as long as you have trunk loaders. So, multiplayer interdimensional door.